Conditions May Apply by CinnamonPinecones. Read by Distracted by Books. Chapter 45. Presidential Alert! The boys are bonding! Shinso invited him over to spend the last night of summer break at his place, and his excitement was conflicting. He felt like he was using them for their hospitality, for their food and their shower, for their kindness, and for Shinso's soft, cozy bed. Part of him wanted to stop paying for the burner he used to text Shinso and never go back to the library again. But the selfish part of him replied to the message in the affirmative. So that's why he found himself packing a spare change of clothes into his backpack and leaving DJ a few extra treats. He told her that he wasn't going to be back tonight, but she seemed too sleepy to get the memo. Hopefully she wouldn't get mad at him again. He was stuck in cat prison for at least half an hour last time before she finally conceded to his toe wiggles and set him free. The Shinso's house was about an hour's walk away, and his transit card didn't work over the break, but it was a nice day, so he didn't mind. The time passed quickly, and before he knew it, he was knocking on the front door. "Midoriya!" Shinso greeted excitedly. "Hey, Shinso! How's your leg doing?" Shinso asked as he held open the door for him. "All better," Izuku happily informed, slapping a hand over the new tender scar issued to drive the point home. "Nice. You want to head out and get in some practice before the heat sets in? It's supposed to get up to the mid-90s from 3 to 6, he asked. Yeah, that's too hot, he agreed. "What happened to your leg, Midoriya?" Shinso-san asked as she poked her head out of the laundry room down the hall. "He gored it while failing at parkour," Shinso responded quickly. "Hey, no! He sputtered out. Shinso just laughed at him, floundering, but Shinso-san looked concerned. "Great. He cut himself off with a groan because Shinso was still laughing at him. "I was climbing on top of a dumpster and I fell," he lied. "Dare I ask why you were attempting to climb a dumpster?" she shot back with a raised eyebrow. He did his best to look guilty and embarrassed, which wasn't hard considering that he was, but only because he was lying, not because he was a bumbling idiot who fell off a dumpster. Well, he was also that. So it wasn't really a lie, right? There was this cat? He trailed off and let them draw their own conclusions. Shinso burst out laughing again. "You ate it in a dumpster and had to go to the hospital because you were trying to pet a cat?" he asked through bouts of laughter. Izuku just let his shame color his face. It would sell the story better anyway. It seemed to do the trick because Shinso-san just rolled her eyes and shook her head with a fond grin before going back to her task. "No goring yourselves in the backyard," she called out from the laundry room. "Yes, ma'am, but I can't promise anything for Greenie if the neighbor's cat climbs up our tree again," Shinso taunted. Izuku lightheartedly narrowed his eyes and sneered at him for that before Shinso ushered the two of them to the backyard. Izuku was working with Shinso on finding openings today. He was pretty good at dodging hits. His skill set wasn't too dissimilar to what Izuku's was when he first started, which painted a pretty grim picture, but he thought better than to ask about it. They'd been going on and off for going on 2 hours, as Izuku telegraphed his movements and left openings for Shinso to pick up on. He really wasn't doing too bad, but Shinso telegraphed his movements even more than Izuku was. He was good at finding the opening to land a hit, but not as good at following through. It was something that would come with practice. He could probably hold his own against someone who didn't know how to fight as well as Izuku, but unfortunately for Shinso, Izuku knew how to fight. Izuku blocked and countered Shinso's latest attempt and sent him sprawling into the lawn again. "How the hell did you learn how to do all of this, Greenie?" There's no way you did all of this without a partner to practice with, and it sure as shit wasn't me, Shinso asked, a little exasperated from his spot in the grass. He did not seem all that motivated to get up this time around. The question sent a spike of shame through his heart. He was going to have to lie to him for the second time in as many hours. We have this family friend that both my parents used to work with when they were still in school. He does martial arts semi-professionally, so he's been teaching me a bit, he said. I would say you're lucky, but I don't want to go against whoever taught you to do all that, Shinso remarked, sounding a little horrified. I would, however, love to see you go up against him. My morale would probably increase tenfold if I saw you eat grass just once, he added. Izuku couldn't help but laugh at that. He would love to eat grass. Eating grass sounded so much more pleasant than eating gravel, which Eraser still made him do on a near daily basis. Shinso, I'm being much more gentle than he is. Really, you should thank me, he taunted, just to see the look on his face. It was worth it. Shinso remained starfished on the ground, but lifted his head to look at him with wide eyes. Did you want me to go all out? 'Cause I could. Maybe you'd learn faster if I knocked it into your head a bit. It worked for me, after all, he offered with mock pleasantness. Nope, nope, I'm good. Love the gentle teaching. No complaints from me. I never want to meet your mystery sensei either. I take it all back, he rushed out as he scrambled to his feet. Izuku laughed at the display before amending his taunts. Shinso, you're doing good, really. I was just joking. I'm adjusting as you pick up on things, so that's why it doesn't seem any easier. Shinso grumbled a bit, but didn't argue as he got back into a fighting stance. You need to work on not telegraphing your movements. I can see you plan out what you're going to do before you do it every time. You need to learn to strike as quickly as you think, which is easier said than done, but you're getting there. You'll make me eat grass all on your own one day, he encouraged. Shinso just rolled his eyes and signaled that he was ready to go again. Kohaku had been watching the boys on and off from her office window since they started. She watched as Toshi ate dirt for the nth time in the last couple of hours. She was proud to see him get back up each time. Midoriya was a brutal but patient teacher. He'd go through the same movements as many times as Toshi asked, and he never got annoyed. She could feel both of their emotions completely. That's why she'd started watching. It was rare to have both of them completely unguarded. They were starting to do that more often around each other, especially when they were here. Midoriya tended to keep things under wraps in public, and it was nice to know he felt safe here, whether it was conscious or not. Every time Toshi got knocked down, she could feel his frustration. Then she'd see Midoriya say something, and he'd get back up again after scraping up a little more determination. Midoriya was so proud every time Toshi did something right. He was never annoyed when Toshi messed up. He was never disappointed when he fell for the same fake-outs. From what she could discern, Midoriya was an excellent teacher. The things Toshi was already capable of were impressive, to her at least, but she'd never tried to fight someone a day in her life. Toshi got knocked down into the grass again and just laid there, spread out. He was getting really frustrated. She saw him say something to Midoriya, and she felt him shut down, but he started laughing just a few moments later. That was strange. She didn't think she would ever stop worrying about that kid. He had such a short leash around his emotions at all times. He could shut her out so effectively and look no different. No change in facial expression, no change in body language. It's like he could just slide a mask into place and become a doll, something cold and unfeeling, but invisible to the naked eye. She wondered what happened behind closed doors at the Midoriya household. It wasn't a crime to leave your kids home alone, and that's all the abuse she knew for sure that he suffered. Neglect at home and bullying at school. She couldn't do anything but be there for him. He was such a sweet kid, just like Toshi. Why did the world have to beat down the kindest souls and just sit by while it happened? She had no idea what sort of reason Midoriya's peers had for hating him, but every time she felt him slide that mask of indifference over his face, she felt the same way she did when Toshi used to come home with another bump or bruise and tears in his eyes. She wanted to slap some sense into everyone who had ever wronged those boys, but she couldn't. The world was unfair, and she couldn't force open a closed mind, no matter how much she wanted to. She felt Toshi's surprise and muted fear as he scrambled back up to his feet. Midoriya must have threatened him. Huh, that was cute. Despite his clear skills, she couldn't imagine Midoriya hurting a fly. He probably apologized each time he won a match. Toshi got back into his fighting stance, and she watched them dance around each other for a little while longer before Midoriya sent him into the grass again. She could hear the resulting exasperated groan through the window as Toshi kicked his legs like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Kami, he was such a drama queen. She was glad that they had each other. How long has your family ninja friend been teaching you? Hitoshi asked after getting thrown on his butt again. Less than a year. We started last spring, Midoriya responded. So I'm going to be a ninja in a year's time too then? He mused. Not if you keep laying on the ground like that, Greenie shot back. Hitoshi glared at him as he got up. There was no way he was going to be as good as Midoriya in a year's time. Midoriya was insane. He was so smart, it was stupid. He could probably learn a language in a month or something just by reading about it, and it was honestly infuriating sometimes. Helpful, but infuriating. He'd explained algebra to him more times than he could count before his final last semester. He probably would have bombed it if not for him. Learning without a real teacher there to ask questions was hard, and waiting for online office hours was the bane of his existence. No, he had no real hope of catching up to Midoriya anytime soon, but it didn't hurt too much to try. He hadn't broken anything yet, but again, that was probably more of a testament to Midoriya's skill than it was to his. Greenie, I'm not catching up to you regardless of whether I lay on the ground forever or not. You're too good, he countered. Greenie scrunched his brow at him for the comment before responding, We're both only getting better, Shinso. I just got a head start. Yeah, a head start and the ability to learn anything in 2 seconds flat. Hitoshi shot back. That's not true. It took me years to learn to fight, he countered. You just said that guy's been helping you for less than a year, Greenie, Hitoshi pointed out. Midoriya's gaze dropped at that, and he started to chew at his lip. Well, that doesn't mean people weren't still trying to fight me, he admitted shyly toward the ground. Yeah, I get that, Greenie. We got a head start on dodging, though, didn't we? He asked, trying to lift the mood. He knew Midoriya wasn't above a little dark humor, so he wasn't surprised when he let out a snort, shook his head, and agreed. Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it, he conceded. That's me, ever the optimist, he replied with fake cheer. Midoriya rolled his eyes and swept his feet out from under him with no warning. I take it back. I live here now. This is my grave. Just pile dirt on top of me, he said as he lay there with his eyes closed. He heard Midoriya laugh and then heard quickly approaching footsteps. He opened his eyes just in time to roll out of the way of Midoriya jumping at him, bony elbow first. What the hell, Greenie? Are you trying to kill me? Midoriya just laid next to him, laughing. Keeping you on your toes, Shinso. You gotta expect the unexpected, he defended. Right. I'll make sure to be ready for you to suplex me at my own funeral, he jabbed back before giving in to Midoriya's infectious laughter. End of chapter.